what has been kind of your experience with seeing, maybe the evolution or kind of escalation of this? You talked about the tech side, third most powerful company. I think we're in the early stages. Gary Wilson talks about this in his TED Talk, the porn experiment. What we're dealing with today. I'm 37 years old, and I struggled with porn as an addiction for close to 20 years. But what I first saw when I was a young kid is not what the young kids are seeing today. This 160 years of accessible hardcore streaming technology, it really does something to the brain. We've had a lot of neuroscientists on there understanding how it really warps you, how it really hijacks, your reward center kind of begins to really reshape your perspective of sex. And, I speak in front of, organizations and trainings for human trafficking awareness companies. And my role there is as the porn addiction expert, trying to bridge the gap and understanding that somebody doesn't wake up one day and decide, okay, I need to go purchase a sex victim. It always starts with consuming porn. That porn addiction always has an escalation effect where you need more hardcore, you need more extreme. So what have you kind of seen over 15 years with how this has grown and evolved?
Yeah, I mean, with the exploitation of trafficking, I think, we become a digital world. We become a digital society where, so much of our lives is online that, you think about like just the distribution of images and how easy it is to record and distribute images and videos. And what we've seen in the evolution of sex trafficking is that, yes, it's still continuing to happen in red light districts and homes and in these physical spaces, but though often those, crime scenes, I call them, of rape and trafficking and abuse, are being recorded and they're being monetized and commercialized online. And, like I said, in some of the most mainstream websites. And so it's not just on the dark web that this is happening. This is 2 clicks away from every single person who has an iPhone, for example. It's also 2 clicks away from our children. If you think about that, it's horrifying. The fact that an 8-year-old, there's no barrier to access to the world's most mainstream porn sites like Pornhub and X videos. They don't even have an RU18 click through button that any 4-year-old could navigate through. There's literally no barrier. And when you get on that site, when you get on the homepage, these videos autoplay. So you have, however many thumbnails auto playing. And when we think about the fact that so much of this are not just, stage violence or violence that's happening in a studio, but actual real rape, trafficking, and child exploitation crime scenes that these children are viewing as their introduction to sex, as their intro to sexuality, to their sex education that's shaping them and forming them for life. And in that way, it's a form of secondhand sexual abuse for children to be accessing these sites. But we've seen the evolution of trafficking where, one thing that's important for us to realize when you think about trafficking is that by law, any minor, any child that is used in a commercial sex act is a victim of trafficking. Every single video on these sites is highly commercialized. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars off of these videos. And so when you see a minor on one of these sites, they are a trafficking victim. And that's the basis for, multiple lawsuits that have recently been filed against Pornhub and Mindgeek. But also, when you see a woman or a man who is in a sex act online that it was induced by force, fraud, or coercion, they are also trafficking victims. So I think that's just important for us to realize is there's been an evolution of trafficking.